Blog Talk Radio.
Stevie B's Media Production is a part of the Shellcaster Network.
The proclamation of the gospel of Jesus Christ by members of the Churches of Christ. With your host, Stevie R. Butler. You're listening to What a Word from the Lord radio show.
You are my protector, and you are my provider, and my deliverer. There's no other help I know. You are my protector, and you are my provider, and my deliverer. There's no other help I know. I really love the Lord. I really love the Lord. You don't know what He's done for me. Gave me the victory. I love Him. I love Him. And I really love the Lord. Oh, I really love the Lord. I really love the Lord. He saved my soul from sin, loved me again and again. I love Him. I love Him. I really love the Lord. And I know how sweet He's been. My deliverer, there's no other help I know. He's such a loyal friend. And on the cross, He bled and died. And now in Him I abide. I love Him. Yes, I love Him. And I really love the Lord. You don't know what He's done for me. Gave me the victory. I love Him. I love Him. I really love the Lord. You don't know what He's done for me. Gave me the victory. I love Him. I love Him. I really love the Lord. You don't know what He's done for me. When I think about His matchless grace, gave me the victory. I love Him. I love Him. I really love the Lord.
You're listening to What a Word from the Lord radio show.
Good evening, wherever you are in the world listening to this radio broadcast. Stevie B's Media Production presents What a Word from the Lord radio show. I'm your host, Stevie R. Butler, and this radio show is being broadcast from Stevie B's Media Production at the Carolina studio in the great state of North Carolina. Ladies and gentlemen, we are just grateful for the privilege to be able to bring you a program where we as Christians and members of the Churches of Christ can share our faith and preach and teach the glorious gospel of Jesus Christ on a weekly basis. If you'd like to contact us while we're on the air this evening, just give me a call to the live show at 713-955-0508. If you have any questions or comments for any of my co-hosts or special guests on these programs, you can send your emails to my new email address, butlersteve1009 at yahoo.com. Or you can give me a call to Stevie B's Media Production at the Carolina studio at 910-491-6405. Now, again, this program is brought to you by members of the Churches of Christ. And if you need any assistance in locating a congregation in your area, please feel free to contact us. Now, folks, enjoy the show that we got coming on tonight. This is a special edition every fourth Tuesday of the month. We have my co-host, the Kelli Fletcher. She serves with the Livingstone Church of Christ in Indianapolis, Indiana. So enjoy your listening experience. Enjoy the show.
This is Terry Jackson, and you're listening to A Talk with My Sisters on What a Word from the Lord radio show.
Good evening, everyone. You are listening to A Talk with My Sisters, also known as the Kelli Fletcher Show, on Stevie B Media Productions, What a Word from the Lord radio show. I'm your co-host, Kelli Fletcher, and I am a member of the Livingstone Church of Christ in Indianapolis, Indiana. Should you have any questions during tonight's show, please send an email to butlersteve1009 at yahoo.com. So the discussion for this evening is financial wellness. Our special guest for tonight is Vonda Granger from Kingsley Terrace Church of Christ in Indianapolis and Nicole Tate. Thank you both so much for being here this evening. Before we get started, can you please introduce yourselves and share a little bit about your background? Vonda, if you want to start first.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, Kelli, thank you so much, first of all, for having Nicole and I on your show. We're very excited. We're always excited to be able to talk about financial wellness. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yes,
but as Kelli said, my name is Vonda, and I live here in Indianapolis, Indiana. But my background is actually in wellness, but it's actually on the health side of wellness. I'm an occupational therapist as well. I've practiced about 32 years. Also a health and wellness coach. But I actually came over to the field of financial wellness because it actually goes along. We're holistic, and what I found was when people weren't physically well when they weren't physically well, a lot of that had to do with the fact that they weren't financially well. So this is a holistic approach, and so this is a side that I've come over into, the financial side, to be more holistic with everyone.
Nice. Thank you so much. Nicole, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, and I want to echo Vonda and say thank you very much for having us on the show. Definitely looking forward to this. It's something that I really enjoy talking about, so I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm actually just outside of Indianapolis, but in the Indianapolis area. I am a certified financial planner, which is the highest designation in the financial services industry. I have been working with private clients, helping them navigate financial decisions and retirement planning for about 11 years. I'm licensed to handle all aspects, so investments, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, all of that stuff, as well as implementing what I call risk control strategies, so life insurance, long-term care, disability, that sort of thing. My overriding philosophy, Kelli, is really to empower people to be able to understand and implement actions and strategies that really help them control as much of their own finances as possible. I think that's super important. And Vonda and I connected and hit it off, and so, yeah, it's been a great team.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you both so much for being here. I know I plan to take notes, and I'll probably listen to the show again just to make sure I get more information. So we'll go ahead and just kind of jump right in. So, Nicole, if you could, please, can you tell us what is financial wellness and what are the benefits of it?
Question, and I think financial wellness really comes down to being able to control and manage your financial health and well-being. I think that I know that people in this country don't get any real financial education, and we're all learning from what our parents do or what people that we know and we're close to do, and they didn't learn from anybody different. So sometimes bad habits or things that just they don't know roll from one generation to the next. And Vonda mentioned this, but I think it's really important. If a person is stressed out about money all the time, it's very difficult to be healthy in any other part of their lives.
And that makes sense. So I'll, with that being said, Vonda, would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously agree with what Nicole said. And basically, I mean, financial wellness is a state of being. And that state of being is, we want to have peace of mind that lets us enjoy life. And if we're stressed out and worried about, one decision or the next as far as finances, we can't even enjoy the life that we have. So it's really about a holistic approach, but it's definitely about that state of mind where you feel secure and you feel like you have control or have some control. You're not constantly worried about things left and right. I know there's a lot of uncertainties in the world, right now, gas and the price of food and homes and cars. But if we are prepared, it gives us a state of being where we don't have to be fearful. So I think it's a state of mind, state of being.
Okay. So I like to Google. I go out there a lot of times and I search for my information, and I know there are books and websites that will give you 3 steps and 7 steps and 10 steps to financial freedom. So, Vonda, what do you think is the best approach to gain this type of freedom, or is it possible?
I do think it's possible, and Nicole and I talked about this question a lot. And honestly, I think everybody is looking for a step, a 1, 2, 3, or an instant answer to solve this kind of a problem. And I think what supersedes the steps is the process. It's the procedure. It's a life principle. You have to understand the whole process in general. Then you take steps. Because if you just take steps, you don't even know where you're going. You have to know, what do I want? Where am I trying to go? What steps are there to take? So I think if you have an understanding of where you're trying to go, what it is you want, most people know basically what they want. But once you have that understanding, then you can start learning how to move in that direction. And it's not a 1, 2, 3. Life, I think, is like a spaghetti bowl. You're going to try some things, what have you. It's not a straight line. But I think if you get an understanding about how money works, then you can understand the steps. Even from a Christian perspective, Nicole and I were talking about this, even in the scriptures it talks about in everything you do, get an understanding, Proverbs 4:7. So it's a principle. You want to seek wisdom so that you know how to go where you're trying to go. And people lack the knowledge. And even, again, Hosea 4:6 indicates my people die due to a lack of knowledge. So you have to learn, and then it will direct your steps. You'll know better which way you should go.
That makes sense. Nicole, would you like to add anything to that?
I do. I think that one of the biggest issues that we have is that people don't understand how money works. They don't understand the process of finance and banking and how we are essentially set up by these financial institutions to be indebted to them. Yeah. And it is a form of bondage that is frankly, it's kind of terrifying if you think about it, because people get into a cycle unwillingly and sometimes unwittingly where they're just on this gerbil wheel of trying to pay off debt and trying to get ahead, and they can't get ahead because they can't get the debt paid off. And if we can take a step back and understand how these institutions work and how we can begin to control some of that process, then you can begin to take those steps to release that bondage and really find freedom in your financial world.
When you said that, talked about the gerbil wheel, it made me think of those payday loans and how it seems like it's. I mean, you get one and you want it just for a short time. You just need to pay something, but then that interest on it, and so you're paying back more. Then you got to get another one out because you paid too much, and it's like a never-ending cycle. I mean, and I know I've been there, and I was like, Lord, if I can get out of this, I will not get another payday loan. So
I think about sometimes, here many years ago, when I first got married, we didn't make a whole lot of money. We had a young family, and we were just trying to make ends meet, like everybody else, just get ahead. And back in those days, you could go to the grocery store on Thursday and write a check and know that it wasn't going to clear the bank until you got paid on Friday.
Right.
That world doesn't exist anymore. And so these payday lenders, like you mentioned, and other things like that popped up because they can present easy money to people, but it really ensnares them in this way.
Exactly. Okay. So, Vonda, what practices should we implement to improve ourselves financially?
That's a very good question. Some of the, one of the first thing, the basic thing, is to use a budget. And I know people don't like to hear that word, or it brings up negative thoughts about a budget. But a budget in general doesn't have to be something negative in general. I think a budget really is something to look at as, how do I budget for the things that I want out of life versus what are the things that, I have to make a budget, so I can't do this, I can't do that, I have to save this, I can't spend it. Instead, looking at it, it's a perspective. I want to set a budget or create some kind of pathway, some kind of way that I can create and get the things that I need and want. So I think it's a mindset. So definitely using a budget. You have to improve your financial literacy. I mean, that if you don't have that, kind of like Nicole was saying, there's just things that we didn't grow up with. In order to not continue that circle, you've got to increase your financial literacy. It doesn't mean you have to be the expert, but you attach yourself to an expert. Learn some things. Start engaging early. This is something, if we can teach our children, young people. I know I have my niece even talking with us, Nicole mainly, because she's my niece, so she needs to talk to Nicole. Starting early, so that they learn that habit and they get into that habit and they do that. And that's how you kind of change the generational situation, too. You start early, being aware of how you spend money. Automate your savings, build your savings, plan for major purposes, handle credit with care. There are many things that you can do, but I think if you definitely improve your financial literacy, and if you, like I said, get with someone who can assist you in that area, that can help you learn, not just do things for you, but the more you understand, the better it is. So that's
Absolutely.
what I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Vonda and I are both on that same page that it really is our goal to empower people to be able to do some of these things on their own, not to depend on somebody else to come in and tell them how to spend their money or where to spend their money, but helping them understand and be able to implement strategies so that they can make decisions without having to depend on somebody else. That anytime you're depending on somebody else to do something for you, there's there's some sort of string attached.
Right,
and it's
right.
not always bad, but if you can do things yourself and if you can empower yourself, then it just provides more flexibility and more more control.
Right. Okay. What are some things that people do or that we do, being in a state where we can meet our current and future financial obligations?
Oh, that's a big one. I'm going to jump in here.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm sorry. Yes.
No. It's okay. I think one of the biggest things that we see today is there's little delayed gratification. And our society has made it seem like you should be able to have everything now.
Right now.
And it's right this second. And it's really hard sometimes to stand here and say, oh, they have this, they have the car, they have a vacation, they have a house, whatever it is. You see what everybody else has, and, on the surface, it looks like they've got it all. Mm-hmm. I can tell you that a lot of times when I meet with those people, it looks like on the surface they have it all, and underneath it's crumbling. There's nothing there. And so, beginning to go, okay, I need to live for today, but I also need to live for tomorrow. I need to be judicious and responsible with my money and not worry about what everybody else has.
Right.
So easily said and so difficult to do sometimes. It takes, being financially well takes time, it takes discipline, and it takes money. And if you don't have all three of those things, it's very difficult to achieve financial wellness.
Agree. Yeah. Vonda?
I would like to say, too, this is something, of course, Nicole and I have been talking about as well, but understanding, I think people don't understand that the value of money. Money does have value, and if you're not managing it well, when you just spend your money, it's gone. So it really does take away from your ability to build on that money and make it grow later if it's just gone. And, like if you put your money in a bank knows what to do. They know how to manage the money because they know the value of money. As a matter of fact, when you put your money in there, you can get a loan, but they're going to charge you interest, and, they charge you interest for your own money. Because they understand the value of money and they know how to manage it. So I think it kind of goes back to knowledge and learning and understanding the value of money and how to manage that. Okay.
And that's what, as you guys are talking, that keeps coming on my mind, education, understanding. So that's really helpful. And I apologize, I think I cut someone off.
No, I was just going to say one of the things that Vonda and I have talked about, too, is if you want to see how institutions, but I guess more people, how they build wealth or how they become financially well, look at what those people do and see what you can emulate in your own life, because there are they do understand the value of money. Wealthy people understand the value of money, and they understand what institutions are doing to build their own money. And some of those processes we can implement on a very small scale. It doesn't mean that we're all going to be millionaires, but we don't have to be millionaires, right?
Right, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So I think we have time for one more question before we go to the break. And this one may carry over to after the break, but we'll get started. So I know that many people are one paycheck away. from losing control of their finances. So what can be done to gain control, and we may have already touched on this, over the day-to-day finances?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I would say, we have kind of touched on this, but goes back to creating and living within that budget that we talked about, learning about it, and understanding that budget doesn't have to be a negative word. But understanding what, definitely what one is. And I would say, hey, we talk about, or we hear people saying you should pay yourself first, which, the government understands that very well, because there's some money that's going to come out before you even see it. So I think that principle works well. Have something set up where a certain amount of money automatically comes out so that you don't even see that coming out. You don't feel it. It's just coming out. And it doesn't have to be a huge amount, but something that's coming out. I think it makes a huge difference.
Yeah. So that's even if you don't make that much an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Say, for example, you have someone that is maybe making $11, $12 an hour, and they may not even be working a full 40-hour week. So they can still maybe take a little bit out of each check or have it taken out where they won't see it or maybe feel it, you think?
Yeah, I think that it can be really, really challenging when you're talking about people that are really, truly, they're trying to make ends meet on not a lot of money. And some of those people have children, and so, there's lots of different things that are pulling at them, trying to take their money, like they've got rent, they've got groceries, they've got gas, and all of that stuff is going up, and so it makes it more and more challenging.
Right.
And, sometimes those are really individual situations. I do think that there's a level of saying you may have to find another way to bring some additional dollars in. But sometimes we have people that have some ability, but they are afraid or embarrassed to say, hey, look where I'm at right now. And they're afraid or embarrassed to ask for help. And I sometimes will say it's like going to the doctor and taking all your clothes off.
Yeah.
And, you don't really want to do that. But we have seen lots and lots and lots of things. And there is no judgment from Vonda or I when we are working with people. No judgment, because we've both had our own share of mistakes that we've made. Our goal is really to help people find little ways that they can start getting ahead, a little bit at a time.
Right? Yeah. And that kind of speaks to I know I had a little scenario that I wanted to share with you guys, but what I'll do, I'll just kind of hold on to that, and I'll ask Brother Stevie if we can go ahead and go to break, and then we'll come back and we'll go on and move on to another question. Thank you both so much for the information you've given us so far.
I give you the honor, I give you the praise, I give you the glory, all of my days, I give you my life, how great or small, I give you my all. Tell me, what can I offer you that could ever compare to the love you show when you sent heaven's own to rescue me when I was lost in despair? 'Cause it was justice that said I should die, but your mercy stepped in right on time. I could never repay all the love
give you my all. Who can I run when times get rough? Tell me, who can I lean on when I've had enough? Hey, who can I turn to when friends get me by? Just plant my feet on solid ground. Hey, nobody but you, Lord, you always come through, and I could never ever turn away from you. No, I'm not much, so undeserving of your love. Still, I give my life a living sacrifice. I give you the honor, give you the honor, the praise. I give you the glory. Lord, I want to glorify you all of my days. I give you my life, how great or small. All of me, Jesus. I give you my all. Give you my all. 'Cause you gave your mercy, you gave your grace, you give me strength to run my race. Running so wicked, and although my greatest sin, so very small, I'll give you my all. Dear Lord, I'm giving you my all.
Hey sis, this is Genesis Archer, and you're listening to A Talk with My Sister on What a Word from the Lord radio show. Peace and love.
Welcome back to our show. This is Kelli Fletcher with the Kelli Fletcher Show, and we're talking to Vonda Granger and Nicole Tate on financial wellness. So they've given some really good information so far, so hopefully our listeners are taking notes. If not, then there will be a recording of the show that will be posted on Facebook later this evening. To get back into our questions, I've read that you shouldn't pay off your credit cards and close your accounts because it impacts your credit score. But what if I don't want to use my credit card anymore? What is the best option for me? Is it best to pay off the balance and just keep it open and let it sit? Vonda?
Yeah. You definitely don't want it. There's a good way to use credit cards and obviously a not so good way to use credit cards.
Yeah.
You don't want to cancel them. You definitely don't want to cancel those because the credit bureau looks at that as your amount of credit being reduced. So it's a negative on your credit score. You should just pay off your credit cards. And there's a strategy. I mean, if you're going to use credit cards, use them wisely, pay them off. I know that sometimes you can, build your credit by charging something but then paying it off at the end of the month and keeping that cycle going. So that would help, with your credit score versus, canceling your cards. But credit cards are not the devil. It's just how you use them. It's not
right.
that. It's how we use them and understanding them. But I would not. You don't want to cancel your credit card. And Nicole may have more to say on that.
Okay. Thank you, Nicole. Did you have any additional information for us?
Yeah, I was just going to say it seems so counterintuitive, but if you pay off the credit card and close it, it really is a hit on your credit score. And so my advice to people is always pay them off. Don't use them really if you don't need them. So a lot of people will put things on there that they, gas or groceries, and then pay it off at the end of the month. And I think that's fine. But if you are just, you don't want to use the card because maybe know that it's difficult to control spending with the credit card, then just cut it up and put it away. You don't have to have the physical card. Just don't call the company and cancel the card.
Okay. So we're going to kind of switch a little bit and talk about savings and retirement goals. What is you all's recommendation toward savings in retirement? Is there like a certain percentage or a certain amount that should be saved or contributed to a savings account or a retirement? And Nicole?
Love this question. Yeah, I love this question because it is probably 85% of the people that we work with ask that question, how much should we be saving? And I think it's kind of interesting because there's always this split between how much should I save now and how much should I save for retirement. And I would ask, why does it have to be one or the other? We need both. Yeah, we need money now. We need money to live now, and we need money in retirement. And so why not implement a strategy that will allow you to responsibly use money today, pay yourself back, and have that money for later, for other things that you may need later, and eventually for retirement.
Right.
So what I mean by that, Kelly, is a lot of times we will have people that put money into retirement plans, 401ks primarily, but they'll put lots of money in their retirement plan, and then they don't have access to it because it's a retirement plan. And so then they'll go out and get a credit card and charge up things that they need on the credit card when they have money in the retirement plan if they could just get to it and use it. And so that's one of the things that we try to help people understand is let's not isolate your money into places where you can't get to it. Let's make sure that you can have control of your money and use it responsibly so that you can continue to pay yourself and use that same money, those same dollars, over and over and over again as you build towards retirement.
Right. And before I go to Vonda, I was going to say I know I've had conversations where individuals felt like, I don't know if I'm going to make it to retirement, and I need my money now. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm not going to contribute to it. I'm just going to take care of what I need to take care of right now.
And that's a really good point too.
Yeah.
Because, the retirement plan was implemented to try to encourage people to plan for retirement, but they have to live today. And if they have a retirement plan and they have to withdraw that money early, then they get penalized and they get taxed. And so now we're on the gerbil wheel.
Exactly. Right. Vonda?
Yeah, no, Nicole said that very well. We've talked about that often. We talk about a lot, obviously.
Yeah.
But there doesn't have to be one or the other. And as a matter of fact, you can actually set your system up, your own financial system or your financing system, so that you can take care of both. But people just don't know that they can do that. So there's oftentimes you don't have to choose between both.
Right. And I got in the habit of, I ended up just setting up like a certain amount. So I have my 401k, but then I have a certain amount that comes out of my check. And I don't see it, and it's like it was mentioned earlier. I don't see it, and I don't miss it.
Right.
So hopefully one of these days I can increase it. So let's see. So another thing that I've heard parents say that once their children or their child turns 18, then they're going to be on their own. The children leave home with minimal to no money. They have no knowledge of how to be self-sufficient financially. And maybe the parents aren't able to teach them because they're not financially well either. So in these situations, what can be done for the child to ensure that they are educated about financial wellness? What guidance is available to them?
Yeah, well, I will say, you know, when you say what is available for the child, I think obviously a child is a child, and parents may not have learned this type of information themselves, but information is out there, and we live in a world of information. So I think it's more about parents seeking, even for themselves, what they can do better. And Nicole mentioned earlier about looking at other people that have done well and understanding, you know, talking with them, expanding your circle. Who do you know that it's doing well? Talking to them, asking what they do, getting with a planner. Find somebody that you can trust and that is willing to help educate you, not just give you answers and say, here's what you should do, that help educate you. And I would say you can then invite the children in that process, or then you can begin to have those kind of conversations at home, because kids learn, you know, in the home. But your parents don't have to be the ones that teach them. It's like if, you know, kids go to college, if I have a child, I'm not going to teach them the college courses because it's out of my wheelhouse. But I know where they can go. So I think it's about seeking where you can go, because there is information out there, and learning that and introducing your children to that. You know what I mean?
Right. Agreed. Nicole, did you have anything additional to add?
No, I think Vonda put it very well. I think it is really seeking the information. And you said early on conversation that you're a person that likes to Google. And boy, you can find everything on Google, right? And so
yes, ma'am.
It's just taking those steps, little steps, and saying, okay, I don't know this, but I want we all want our children to be in a better position than we were in. We want more for our kids than what we have for ourselves. And so taking those steps to educate ourselves and then to educate the children as well. It's amazing to me that we can teach our kids to cook for themselves, or, you know, clean up their own bedrooms, or, you know, I mean, they learn to drive at 16. And we all think driving is not that difficult, but it is difficult when you're first learning how to drive. And yet we don't teach them anything really about finances. And so I think seeking that knowledge and then seeking it for both yourself and your children is super important.
I think it's important to have somebody that's willing to educate you, whoever you get with. Even, you know, you can send your kids like to driving school, but if, you know, they're just going to tell them, do this, do that. You know, you want somebody who's going to take the time to teach you. So seek until you find that good fit of who's out there and who's willing to take that extra time with you to educate you. I think that's so important. The education is just huge. Yes,
for sure. So do you guys think that it's a good idea for parents to save money for their children in preparation for when they move out on their own?
I think, Vonda and I had a very, very long discussion around this topic. Because I think this really becomes a generational conversation. I think it is important to save money for your children, but like other things, and like Vonda just mentioned, it's not just about saving money and then giving it to them. It's about teaching them the value of that, teaching them how to use it, teaching them what they need to do to value that money and make sure that money grows and is used for wise things. So it really is a generational thought process. My parents did not teach me anything about money. And, you know, when I look back now and I think about what my parents' financial life was like, it was pretty chaotic. because
Okay.
they probably,
Yeah.
they came from Depression-era parents, and they didn't learn how to handle money either. They just,
Right.
my
Right.
mom just wanted to save everything. My dad just wanted to spend everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'd have to say this too. If you think about it, if your parents are saving money to just merely give it to a child when they're 18, that's money down the drain, because you're giving someone something that they don't even know how to value and how to grow. So a lot of times kids will blow through the money because you've worked hard. You put time and energy and work into that, but now you've just given it to a person who doesn't know what to do with it. So they will do most often things that are not prudent with the money. So it's kind of in vain. It's better to really teach them. And there's nothing wrong with saving money and giving that to a child for college or what have you. But if you haven't given them the understanding of how to use it and how to leverage it and grow it, then it's not. I think it's more in vain.
Yeah. And then, that makes sense. So I know that, Nicole, you had mentioned you're a financial planner, and Vonda, you're into the financial wellness as well. So are there any books or courses that you can recommend, or do you recommend, do you prefer people to maybe seek out a financial planner, or is the prep themselves first and then maybe seek out a financial planner?
Yeah, I think there are definitely books that I would recommend that people read, and I'll list some of those off in just a moment. But one of the things that I see holding people back from seeking advice is thinking that they don't have enough, and that people, a financial planner will either charge them a lot of money that they don't have or don't feel like they have, or that a financial planner just simply won't have a conversation with them because they don't have enough to be to get attention from them. And I would just say there are lots and lots and lots of financial planners, and there are definitely some that are going to say, I need clients to have a minimum of, whatever, X number of dollars. But there are also a lot of people out there that will sit down and help those who really want help and who are genuinely interested in making some changes in their life so that they can take a step forward and get ahead. Vonda and I don't put any sort of parameters on people. There are some people that we can help quicker and faster and more than others, and there are some people, like she mentioned her niece. So we sit down and we talk about things like a budget, and we're taking baby steps to start. So seek somebody that you feel comfortable and connect with, and find somebody that's going to pay attention to you, because just because you don't have a ton of money doesn't mean that your money isn't important. It's very important.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So then,
Vonda,
just around books. I'm sorry, Kelly.
No, I'm sorry. I cut you off. I apologize.
No,
Go
it's
ahead,
okay.
please.
I was just going to say a couple of the books that I would recommend that people just sort of dive into. One of them is called What Would the Rockefellers Do? And that is a book really around generational legacy wealth. It's an easy read. The author makes a comparison between the Vanderbilts and the Rockefellers, who were both very wealthy families that came about, around the same time, and how the Rockefellers really did educate their heirs on what to do and how to do it with money, and the Vanderbilts did not. And, it's an easy question, but guess who has money today and guess who doesn't? Still, the Rockefellers are very, very wealthy, and the Vanderbilts really don't have anything. So it's a very good book. It's an easy read. There's another book that I really like called Becoming Your Own Banker, and it has a lot to do with this conversation around how do we control the financing aspect of our lives. And then the other book that I like, and I know I'm going to steal this from Vonda because I know she's been listening to this too, is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And that may be one of the books that people just pick up and start with, because it's very down to earth, and it really will grab some people and go, oh yeah, there's more out there.
Okay, I have made notes of all three.
And I'll let you know the ones that are kind of on my quest of me starting out in the whole venture and wanting to be financially well, adding to my holistic approach. I started listening to Robert Kiyosaki, and if anyone knows him, he is the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, very famous book. And I listened to that. At the time, I was doing therapy, and I was treating patients doing home care. And so I was driving all day, driving to each patient's house. And I would constantly, in between my visits, driving house to house, I would just self-educate. And I listened to his podcasts and his shows, and I learned authors. I would pull over on the side of the road and write down books that they mentioned. Then I would get those books. I listened consistently. Sometimes I would listen to the same broadcast over and over because initially they were talking over my head. I couldn't even understand. The first time I thought, oh, my gosh, I'm in trouble. I couldn't even understand the first 10 minutes of what they were saying. So I listened to it again. And then over time, I started to understand. So I think you have to do those type of things. You have to have that type of desire and do that. But I would recommend Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I read that book years ago, and that started me. It helped me truly understand money. And then I read Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki as well. It's another one of his books. There is a game.
Can you say that name again?
Yeah,
the title.
The first one is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And the second one is Rich Dad. I think it's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Cash Flow Quadrant, or it just might be Cash Flow Quadrant. It's by the same author, Robert Kiyosaki. And that one is very good because now he's breaking down the quadrants of money, like business owners, small business owners, and just how money works and what employees' money looks like. And it's very good. Then there's a game. There's the Rich Dad, Poor Dad game. And that's really nice because that's something you could play with the kids. There's even a kids' version. And it really helps you. You're just playing the game of money. And it's like Monopoly, except you're learning about money. There is a kids' version of that game as well. That's something fun adults could do as well. And for me, it's really just all about mindset. Everything starts with a mindset. So as a man thinketh, so he is. And everything starts with a mindset. I just reread, and it only took me an hour. It's a very quick read. It's an entertaining book. It's called Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson. And it's less than 100 pages, but it's about a mindset. I recommend everybody read that. And then another one is Think and Grow Rich. I'm rereading that one.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one, too.
Yeah, I'm rereading that one now, Nicole. You can be proud of me, too.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And then like Nicole said, just get a mentor. Talk to planners. Find somebody who you connect with and who is willing to educate you, because there are different levels of planners and how they function. So you have to find who works with you well, who you connect with.
Right. Well, I know I definitely plan on getting the Rich Dad, Poor Dad and the game because my little cousin Peyton, she loves to play. She loves playing Monopoly, and every time we get together, Kelly, can we play Monopoly? So I plan to get that so we can play that game. Nicole, she's 9 years old.
Yeah. The cash flow, I think it's Cash Flow for Teens. It's the kids' version of that game. You'll enjoy that. And it one of the little things in there is it talks about doodads. So doodads being the things you either have assets or you have doodads. And so it really begins to bring awareness to kids that are they spending their money on things that are assets, or are they spending their money on things that are just, the money's just gone. So it's not creating any value, any asset for you down the road. It's really good.
Right.
You guys will have fun with that.
Okay. I have made notes of all of these books. So before we close, is there anything that you guys would like to add, information that you would like to provide? Cole, I'll start with you, and then we can finish with Vonda.
I would just say that if people want to just reach out and have a conversation, I am happy to do that. I can be reached. The easiest way is probably by cell phone. And that number, 317-403-4148, or by email. And that email address is Tate, and that's T as in Tom, ATE, at oneindianafinancial.com, and one is spelled out ONE. I will have a conversation with anybody. There's no charge to do that. I'm happy to just help people figure out, is this where I need to be? Are there things that I should be doing? What can I be doing? And Vonda and I work very well together. And again, it's our goal to really empower people to learn about finances and how they work and help them take control of that.
Right. Thank you so much. And Vonda?
Yeah, the same thing. Like Nicole said, I can be reached at One Indiana Financial Group as well. We work well together as a team. We see lots of clients together as a team. My phone number where you can reach me is 317-652-7531. Or the email is V as in Victory, Granger, Granger, at oneindianafinancial.com.
Okay. Well, thank you, ladies, so much. I really enjoyed the conversation. Like I said, I've taken my notes, and you guys will probably be hearing from me soon.
Well, Kelli, thank you so
for
much.
sure.
We really appreciate the opportunity and hope that your audience, your listeners, have found some value in this. And just thank you.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much. So before we close, I want to thank the Lord for another conversation on a very beneficial topic. Again, thanks to Nicole and Vonda for the information and their insight on financial wellness. I want to thank Brother Stevie for this platform to discuss another needful topic. Prayerfully, it will be helpful to our listeners as it was for me. Should you have any questions or comments for our guest, please inbox me on Facebook or send an email to atalkwmsisters@gmail.com. I'll be sure to forward your questions and your comments to Vonda and Nicole. Again, thank you so much, and I will turn it over to Brother Stevie.
This is Terry Jackson, and you're listening to A Talk with My Sisters on What a Word from the Lord radio show.
I know blessings and comfort are a part of my daily life, because my hand is in yours, walking this Christian life. I'm so glad I
been let down, yes I have, even abused before. But it has been your grace that has carried me through those storms. And you see, sometimes, oh, sometimes I just have to lift my hands on high, oh, high, because you have always been true. You have never, 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 never lied. That's why I'm glad. I said I'm glad I know you, Lord. I'm so glad you know me, Lord. I'm glad you know me, Lord. We want to give you the praise. Heavenly Father.
You're listening to What a Word from the Lord radio show.
Going home. Oh, oh, oh. I'm going home. To see my Lord. Said I'm going home. I'm going home. Said I am going home to see my Lord. Going home. Yes, I am. Oh, oh, oh. One of these moments that won't be long. Y'all gonna look for me. I'll be going on home. I'm gonna fly away to a better place. I can hardly wait. No, 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 no. Going home. Hey, yeah, yeah. Don't worry about me, y'all. I'm going on home to see the King. Whoa, whoa. Hey, said I am going home. Whoa, yes I am. Going on home. One more thing. All of my loved ones going on before. Y'all don't see them again. over on the other shore, and we will meet again. Way beyond the sky, we'll be together forever. Won't have to say bye-bye. Wanna see my mother, my loved ones, y'all. But most of all, y'all, I wanna see my Lord, the one that died, gave his life, and paid the price. Yeah, I can't wait to see his face. I'll thank him for his word. Hey, oh Lord, yeah, one more thing. If anybody down here start looking for me, yeah, now just do me one favor and tell them for me. Hey, tell them y'all going home. Tell them for that I'm going on. And I got one question to ask you this is, don't you wanna go home? 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 Said I wanna go home. 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 I wanna go home, yeah, 'cause I wanna see Jesus. I wanna see Jesus way up in the sky where we will never die. To wipe the tears from my eyes. I don't have to cry no more over on the other shore. Yeah, 'cause I wanna go. Don't you wanna go? Don't you wanna go home? Said I wanna go home. No, I can't wait to fly away. Whoa, whoa, I can't wait to see one day. When I get home, no more cry, no more tears, no more pain. See my Jesus, I take his hand, and we'll walk all over God. Oh yes we will. Tell him how we made it over through the struggles of life, through the pain. Oh yes we did.
You're listening to What a Word from the Lord radio show.